Jagged. The great challenge in life is to remain at peace. That is truly a mission, a task, a goal, an effort. That is the greatest of all. If one can remain centered, calm, contented, at peace, in the midst of all that is going on in this world, life's a beautiful thing. It can't bother you. By definition, you're at peace. It can't hurt you. By definition, you're at peace. It is the starting point from which you begin to live a reasonable life. It's easy to see because the alternative to peace is turmoil, fear, anxiety, problems. That can't be the starting point of your life. If the starting point of your interaction with people, places, and things around you is one of non-well-being, what kind of life are you going to have? We should be good at answering that question, because that's how people live their lives. If you start by not being okay, you're not going to be okay. All you're going to do is take the turmoil and commotion and disturbance, fears and anxieties that are inside of you, and spread them out. They are difficult to hold inside, for sure, and so you try to get rid of them. You're not really trying to do things with other people, places, and things. You're trying to use people, places, and things to make yourself feel better, to make yourself not be in so much turmoil. It's funny, even if you go out on a nature walk or go out on a lake in a boat. In many cases, people don't go to enjoy nature. They go to calm themselves down. They go to find a moment's peace. They're attempting to use the things around them, people, places, and things around them, in order to feel better about themselves. Ultimately, you have to learn to come to peace. If you are at peace inside, then the world is what it is. It's not something you need. It's not something that has to do something for you. It just is. Nature is nature. Nature is not something that calms you. A person is a person. They're not somebody who loves you, or somebody who takes care of you, or somebody who makes you feel better, or somebody who makes you feel proud of yourself, or something like that. They have nothing to do with you. You don't need them in relationship to yourself. You get to meet them for what they are. The deeper you go into yourself, into your depths, the more you realize human relationships are a joke. Because they're all about, in almost all cases, they're all about, I'm not okay. You're supposed to make me okay. You're supposed to help me be okay. I don't feel loved. You're supposed to love me. I don't feel worthy. You're supposed to lift me up, and so on. All right? I'm scared. You're supposed to protect me. It's all about, I'm not okay, and what is your relationship to my not okayness? There's a whole nother relationship that exists with human beings. That is, I am okay, just fine, thank you. What a pleasure to meet you. I don't need you to be something in relationship to me. You're like a flower. I'd like to meet it. I'd like to see it. I'd like to get to know it. Right? Just the excitement of exploring and meeting and interacting with something different than you. But if what you're doing is saying, I'm not okay, you're not interacting with something different than you. You're literally trying to train the people around you to be the way you need them to be. Otherwise, you're not okay. Then what you're doing is interacting with yourself. You're interacting with a mirror of yourself. And you never really get to meet anybody else. If somebody does something, dresses weird, then you sit there and say, well, I don't like that. Right? That's not pleasing to me. I don't want to go out with you that way. You look weird. What you're doing is projecting your own values, your own views, your own ways of being, your own insecurities, your own everything onto somebody else, and then interacting with yourself. As opposed to, whoa, look at that. I never saw a flower like that before. All right? And it's just what it is. It's something different than you. And you have the joy and the excitement of getting out of yourself. Ultimately, as you go deeper and deeper and deeper, there is less and less that you need from other people. Doesn't mean you become a hermit. You just enjoy the beauty of meeting people, of getting to know people. Eventually you'll understand people make toys. Ever notice they make toys? People like toys, right? They make Barbie dolls that talk, and they make this one that burps and this one that does other things and so on and so forth, right? Why? They're trying to create something for you to interact with that you're not sure what it's going to do. You say something to it and it says a random phrase back to you that maybe seems to meet. Like ultimately they'll make a doll that when you say something it can converse with you. And that's like exciting. It's like fun. What do you think human beings are? They're toys. They're things you never know what they'll say. It's just go to any human being and say something or look something or do something. You don't know what's coming back. It's just fun. All right? They're just the epitome. Mattel could never come close. Unless you need something from them. Then they're very dangerous. Because the very fact that you can't predict what the heck they're going to do, they're very complicated and dynamic things, all right? If you need something from them, you're in trouble. Because when you have need, you want to predict somebody else's behavior. And I'll tell you what you want to predict. They will be the way I need for them to be. They won't, if you haven't noticed yet. And when they're not, you get hurt. You get disturbed. So where's all the toys? Where's the fun? You ruined it, right? It's not fun anymore. Because you have these preconceived notions based upon your needs and your fears about how everything's supposed to be. And that takes the fun out of life. Ultimately, if you want to enjoy your life, you must come to peace. Period. Once you have achieved peace, to whatever degree, as you are achieving peace, you will find that you look out into the world totally differently than you did before. You used to look at it in relationship to yourself. It all was about me and mine and like and dislike and good and bad. What are those things? Me, mine, like, dislike, good and bad. They are your inner sense projected out onto objects. There's not an object out there that is a me or a mine. It's just an object. You did the me or mine thing by projecting it, didn't you? There's not an object out there that's good or bad. That's a tough one, but there's not. It just is what it is. There's clean ones and dirty ones and tall ones and short ones and fat ones and skinny ones and loud ones and right wild ones and calm ones, and boy, they come in all shapes and sizes, don't they? All right? That's what's out there. That which you call good, she calls bad. That which you call nice, she calls mean. That which you call attractive, she calls repulsive. So you get to where you understand when you are not at peace and are not neutral within yourself, you're going to project yourself onto the objects around you. And that is the cause of all disturbance. That is what creates the mess that goes on in people's lives and in this world. What's the answer? Find a new wife, a new husband, a new friend, have another kid, get a new job? No, that's never the answer. Because that's all based upon, I'm not okay. I'm trying to be okay by these objects outside, and I just don't have the objects right. I'll be okay if this person treats me nicer. I'll be okay if this happens. I'll be okay if that happens. Be okay if I have more money. I'll be more secure. No, you won't. If you're insecure, you're insecure. Putting Band-Aids on top of it doesn't do squat. People who have lots and lots and lots of money are very insecure about their money. Very. It's just an amazing thing to do. People that have beautiful, like the most beautiful woman or handsome man for a spouse are very, very concerned about losing them. Very, very concerned about other people being attracted to them and so on. It's like, there's no peace. There's no peace by changing the outside to be the way you think it needs to be. It's just a constant struggle. It will never stop. Well, what if you don't want to struggle anymore? What if you reach the point you realize, I just as soon have nothing than keep struggling, right? I just as soon be alone and not have a pen in my name and be at peace. and not have to worry all the time, and not have to feel all the tension, and not to be afraid of what people think of me, and not have to worry about what I'm wearing, not to worry about what I said, and just no, I don't want to do it anymore. And so you start to value peace, real peace, instead of putting all your emphasis on attempting to create the outside objects the way you think you need for them to be. Fine. There's your groundwork. Now the question is, what could you do to try to achieve this peace? What does it take to achieve peace inside as opposed to struggle with trying to get things the way you need for them to be outside? Well, that's very deep. And that's something you need to study for yourself. What are the clues? What are the watchwords? What do you need to do? Everybody knows how to get someone to fall in love with you. Everybody knows how to make a little more money. Everybody knows how to, be nice to the boss so you have a chance for a raise. People figure out ways to do things that they think they want. How do you get that peace? How do you find that? You have to experiment. You have to explore. And I'll give you some clues. Ultimately, what you will find is that the cause of all friction, of all disturbance, is because you have built within your mind a concept of how you need it to be in order to be okay. And then you judge everything that's happening, past, present, and future, everything, in relationship to that concept. You want to guarantee how not to be at peace? Watch. You're a 12-year-old girl, and you started that, when I get to college, I'm going to get married. I want to be married before I get out of college, so that then I start off young and have a family and then have a career. People think like this, right? They get it all down at a very early age, right? And you've always talked about it, and you did everything. You wrote in your little diary, and all this stuff went on, right? And you go off to college. And there you are in your freshman year, and that's going on in your sophomore year, and it's going on, and you're looking at it. By the time you hit your junior year, you're not having so much fun anymore. Why? You haven't found anybody. It's like, you're not at college to go to college, you're at college to get married, right? That's a prerequisite. So that the joy that people have in going to college, which many people will tell you, it's like the freest time in your life for a lot of people, right? That they have this opportunity to step into this counterculture, all right, into a world of its own. You're not doing it. Because you have a preconceived notion in your mind that you have got to find somebody and get married before you leave college. By the time you hit your senior year, you're in trouble. You're tense. You're angry. Hard to find people when you're tense and angry, by the way. All of a sudden, it works against you. By the time you're mid-semester, second semester, senior year, you're about to drop out. You're a neurotic mess. You can't study. You can't do anything. Everybody else is going to school. What happened here? What's this about? It's about what I'm talking about. You built in your mind a preconceived notion of how it's supposed to be. You then judged everything in reality against your preconceived notion. That is the cause of turmoil. And until you come to grips with the fact that's the problem. The fact that you're not married is not the problem. That is not the problem. The problem is that you have a preconceived notion that this is what's supposed to happen. And then the fact that it's not happening creates tremendous turmoil, doesn't it? Tremendous disturbance. You must come to grips, if you're a seeker of peace, a true seeker of peace, to understand that's it. There it is. There's nothing else to look for. That is the cause of tension. That is the cause of turmoil. That is the cause of stress. That is the cause of all problems. How about if I say to you, there are no problems. There are no problems. You say, well, that's absurd. Okay? You don't want to do that with me, you'll lose. All right? Point to a problem. Okay? The first thing I say, I'm going out on a date and I have this zit on my face. That's a problem. All right? I go over to Brian. I say, Brian, so-and-so has a zit on their face going on a date. Is that a problem to you? No. Not a problem to me. I couldn't care less. How about if I ask everybody else in the world? Is it a problem to them? People in China, Africa, all over the place. No. Well, but you said that was a problem. That's a noun. That's a problem. Okay? No, what you meant to say, that's a problem to me. Okay, well, that's very different. Now we're starting to get somewhere, right? Things aren't problems. They're problems to you, aren't they? So now we've got down to that big deal. Oh, yeah, you lost. Now you really lost. You let me get that far. Now it's a problem to you. How did you decide what is a problem to you? There are lots of things out there. There's a tambourine. Look, it's at an angle. Is that a problem? How do you decide what a problem is? Look at all the objects in this room. Look at them all. Pictures, boards, electrical outlets, people, rug, ceiling. Look at them all. Which ones are problems? You have to decide. A problem, when it's said and done, is that you have a preconceived notion of how things should be and they're not. That's what a problem is. It's that simple. You must have in your mind a preconceived notion of how something is supposed to be or how you want it to be. And then you look out at it and decide it's not that way, and that's a problem. Otherwise, it's just what is. Right? I told you, there's 800 billion zillion things in this world. Right? Are they problems or not? Well, the vast majority of them don't even come close because you don't even care about them. Right? So all of a sudden, a problem can only exist with something you care about. Then it can only exist with something you've decided how it's supposed to be. I guarantee you, there are no problems otherwise. All right? And you just must contemplate that. You must look at that. It's a reality, period. I mean, somebody comes here and says, well, my body's not shaped the way I want it to be. That's a real problem. All right? There it is. My body's not shaped the way I want it to be. Now, which is the problem? Your body or you? And you'll see it always takes two to tango. It takes an object, but then it takes your mind having a notion, a concept about the object. Do you understand that? If it has a negative concept, the mind sees it differently than it is, then you say it's wrong. Then you say it's bad. Then you say it's a problem. If it has a positive concept about it, then you like it and you say it's good. Things are neither good nor bad. They just are. The mind that is observing them projects onto them in accordance to its frame of reference, good or bad. And that's where your problems come from. That's where everything comes from. It's the mind is doing that. The objects are not doing that. While you are doing that, you will not know peace. You can't. If you're going to go there, it's like, let's say you live by a lake. Very beautiful lake, really beautiful. And in the mornings it gets crystal clear and still, like mirror sharp. And you can see your face and so on, right? It's unbelievable. You really like that. It's really beautiful. But you have this thing. It's weird. I don't know where you got it. It's like some kind of ritual or something, right? That you go do cannonballs in the morning as the sun's coming up into the lake. That's what you do. So you do these cannonballs on the lake. So you come to me and you say it's wrong. This lake is not working. It doesn't be crystal clear like it used to be. It's not still and so on. And I sit there and say, well, maybe it's not the lake. Maybe it's you doing the cannonballs. You are causing the problem. And then you're defining the thing as a problem. Same is happening with this world. Things are out there, unquestionably. Look at all the things that are out there. That's not a problem ever until you say it is. And so you come down to the point where you realize if you want to be at peace, you better stop that. Because what you're doing is things are unfolding, you're saying they're a problem, and then you're coming spiritually saying, oh, I don't want to have so many problems. You're just like the person doing the cannonballs. Right? It's like you go in there, you're doing the cannonballs, and you're coming back, but the fifth says, how do I undo these ripples? No, that's too late. Don't undo the ripples. Don't start building a ripple undoing machine. Right? That will not find you peace. Stop doing the cannonballs. You got to come back to the root cause. The root cause of all of your problems is you. Period. The root cause of your lack of peace is you. It is because you formulated these preconceived notions and then projected them out on reality, and the friction of them not matching is what causes the ripples inside of you. Why do you feel insecurity? Why do you feel jealousy? Why do you feel fear? How would you know what to feel fear about? How would you know? She feels fear in a place you don't. If you analyze it, you're going to find out you feel fear in places where you have a concept pretty strong of how you either want something to be or don't want it to be. And when your mind starts thinking, oh my God, that which I don't want to happen might happen, now it's not even happening. It's one thing if the world is unfolding a certain way, you have a preference, they don't match. Now let's get into the real interesting stuff. The world ain't doing squat. It's going about its business. This is a balmy day. There's nothing going on at all. Your mind thinks, maybe she's out with somebody else. Maybe I won't get the raise 2 years from now when I know I need it. And doesn't it do that? Okay? It creates a situation where you feel fear because you're afraid that a concept you want to happen may not happen. Period. That's it. That's what fear is. There's no fear but that. You understand that? If you don't have a preference, you can't be afraid. Are you afraid that a ring might disappear from Saturn while we're up there taking pictures? No. Right? You're like, who cares? Right? It's not something I'm interested in. I have no preconceived notion. Therefore, I can't feel fear about it. But I can take the tiniest thing that could ever be. Are you afraid that you get a little spot on your pants when you're going to meet the president or something? Okay? It's like meaningless versus universal, right? But net is, it all comes down to you are developing within your mind preconceived notions of what reality should be like. And when you do that, you lay the groundwork for suffering, pain, disturbance. That's what it is. Anxiety. Nowadays, people are anxious, aren't they? It's kind of hard not to be anxious nowadays about a lot of different things. If you feel anxious, I would like you to look at the anxiety. But I would like you to ask, what is it that I have a preconceived notion about that I'm anxious about? And what is it that I decided in my mind that I want to be a certain way that is creating this anxiety as I walk into a situation? Now, some of it's deep. It's hard for people to conceive of. Let's say you get anxious about giving a public talk, getting in front of people and talking. You get scared, you get anxious. Okay? You have to ask, what is it that would make you anxious? You know, what's the preconceived notion you have going that you're afraid it may not happen? Well, it's obvious. I want people to like me. I want people to like me. I want people to think I'm smart. I want people to think I'm good at what I do. I want people to be proud of me. I want to be accepted. How about you? You got any of that? That's why you feel anxious when you go to give a talk. If I sat there and said to you, okay, look, we're going to do some role playing. You're a grown-up person, you got nothing with Barbie or Ken now, do you? Okay, we'll take a bunch of Barbie and Kens, and we'll put them down on the floor over here. We'll get everybody else out of the room, nothing like that, right? And I want you to go up and give your speech to Barbie and Ken. Everyone will leave, I'll leave. Everyone will leave, nothing. Total. Police all around, nobody can hear anything, anti-bugging devices, just totally guaranteed there's no one there but you and Barbie and Ken dolls. All right? You're going to be able to give your talk. Yeah. You're not going to be anxious. No. Right? Because you don't care what Barbie and Ken think about you. Do you? Okay? Absolutely nothing. That's what's going on everywhere. All of these psychological problems, all of these things that ruin our lives are because of that. Now, it may seem inconceivable to you to not care about what people think about you and to not need to be accepted, right? But it is possible to lighten that burden a lot more than it's lightened right now, because it's pretty heavy. And the heavier it is, the more anxiety and disturbance that you feel. So you come to the point, which is what we're discussing, eventually, where you say, okay, I want peace. Okay. First, I'll say to you, you can have it. You can. But you must want peace more than you want things to be the way your preconceived notions want them to be. You can't play a game. It's not a game. It's like, I want peace, but I really want her to like me, and I want this to happen. I really want everything to be the way I want it to be, but I'd like to be at peace while I do it. It's not going to happen. You just laid the groundwork for anxiety. You have to be willing to trade off this notion that the outside is going to match your inside for peace. And trading it off means that's where you've put your heart and soul. So then it becomes easy. Once you get to that point, it's very easy. You get into a situation where you start to feel some anxiety, you start to feel some fear, you start to feel some insecurity. You look very carefully, what is it that I'm attached to that's causing this to be this way? What's my preconceived notion? And you work on relaxing your way through that preconceived notion. I don't want my wife, when we go to the parties, I don't want her to dance with anybody. I never tell her that, because I don't want her to think I'm jealous or something. But, I just don't like when she does, so I get real anxious when I go to parties. Somebody could be like that. Okay, and they just quietly hold that inside themselves, right? They got all this fear and anxiety, but every time they go out and all that kind of stuff. Now, you got a choice. Either you keep that and you do all these little things to make sure that what bothers you doesn't happen, right? Like every time somebody goes to walk up to talk to you, I say, oh, would you like to dance, sweetheart? Come on. You just do this stuff that isn't honest, that's hiding, and that keeps you the way you are. And you won't change. Do you understand that? You won't. You're afraid of yourself. You're afraid of what's going on inside of you. And so you're doing what you can do to avoid it, and it will stay that way. And this is not spiritual growth. Your alternative is to sit there and say, I'm getting rid of this year. For you to get rid of it, really get rid of it, you have to be willing to lose what you're afraid of losing. You have to be willing to sit there and say, even if it means that my wife or husband falls in love with somebody else, or something happens at a party, right? Our insecurities paint those pictures, all right? Even if that's my risk, I would rather be at peace and not burden other people with my problem and take that risk. Now, the reason I say that is it should be obvious to you. If you're not willing to say that, then you're not willing to say that. And then what's going to happen is it will win. You will still keep that feeling and you will buy into it because you're not deep enough in your commitment to liberating yourself from it. Now, the little footnote, which I really don't want you to hear, because you'd have to go through this at some point, is 99.999% of the time, not only will you not lose that person, but you'll gain them. Because I told you before, you don't even know the people you're in a relationship with. You only know them in relationship to you. Like if somebody asks you, how you doing with your wife? Your first response would be, if you're allowed to say it, is, well, we're not going to many parties lately. It's working much better. You're literally measuring everything in relationship to your needs and your fears. If you actually work your way through this thing, all of a sudden you can get to know what your wife would be like at a party without you all over. You know what you might find? Is she's not interested in anybody else. You might find that she's neat and fun, or you might find that she dances with people and gets happy and makes people happy and it's fun. I don't know what you're going to find. But the point is, you sure as heck ain't going to find it if all you're doing is projecting yourself. You just decide, I want to be free at any cost. When we talk this way, I hear Christ. I got myself a testimonial. He who will not leave his mother, father, wife, and family for me cannot enter into the kingdom. What did he mean by that? In my humble opinion, this is what he meant. That until you reach the point, not that you do leave, that your willingness to trade what you've been clinging to and holding on to in order to be free, until you're willing to do that, it can't happen, can it? Because you're still holding on and clinging and so on. But it doesn't mean anything goes. 99.9% of the time, nothing goes anywhere except you come to peace with it. That's where you find your peace. You find your peace by letting go of the part of you that's disturbing your peace. And that part is the preconceived notion of how things need to be for you to be okay. Things need to be the way they are for you to be okay. And just be okay. That's how you get it. You keep working it back until eventually, even when things are really weird, and all kinds of stuff goes on, you'll realize that if you think about it, what could go wrong, hear me, or what did go wrong, even if nothing's wrong now, it disturbs your peace, doesn't it? And so you sit there and say, if you want to be at peace, you can't be having thoughts like that. If you want to think about what could go wrong, you're a mess. Because a lot can go wrong. And so something happens. Somebody says something. Somebody says, listen, I don't have time now, but tonight I want to have a talk with you. Okay? So now they leave. Right? Now you consider that mean. All right? No, it's training ground. It's a training ground for peace. Right now, they're gone. Why are you not at peace? There's nothing happening. Nobody's hitting you over the head. Nothing's going on. When the nightfall comes, maybe they'll come back. Maybe they won't, but if they do, maybe they'll tell you what they meant. Then you can worry about what it means or what it was. Okay, because you don't know what it is. Why can't you just go about your business all day dealing with what's real instead of that constant nagging thing that goes on in your mind of trying to figure out what it is or what's going to be the problem or what's going to happen and what do I do about the thing that I thought it might be. You're already figuring out how to react to what you decided it might be. This is what I call a lack of peace. How can you find peace? You ultimately find peace by saying, now listen to me. Right here, right now, could you be at peace with the way things are right now? There's nothing else going to happen. Just this now. Do you know how many times the answer is yes? That there's actually nothing actually wrong right now. It's all about what could go wrong or what somebody else might think was wrong. It's about somebody else's thoughts, about what the future might hold, about why the past did what it did. But if you actually take reality as it is right now, almost every single moment you could live with it just fine. There's your be here now. You will only find peace when you come to that place, period. Only when you are willing to look and see, I'm okay now, then be okay now. And let that be the eternal now. And don't let the mind run out and think about whether it likes something the way it's going to be or the way it could be or the way it could have. Don't let the mind create your disturbance. I dare you to permit the world to be what it is and see if you can live with it. And I'm telling you, you're going to find you can live with it just fine. I mean, it is so rare that you're in a dentist chair and you hit a nerve. I mean, that's tough. Okay? How long does that last? How does that happen? It is very rare in relationships to the total moments that you're conscious that you actually can't be at peace, that's actually disturbing you. I'm not even talking about willfully, even without will, that it's disturbing you at all. It's all your thoughts that are causing it. It is a psychological lack of peace that is being created. To beat that, you have to sit there and take the great risk, which says, I'm going to interact with now, all of me, including the part of me that used to think about the future, or used to think about the past, or used to postulate and all this kind of junk about what could go wrong and what to do about it and so on. I'm going to interact with now and see if I can be at peace. Because ultimately I care more about being at peace than I care about all the rest of the stupid things I was thinking about anyway. If you are willing to do that, the peace that passeth all understanding will come over you. That's why it's called the peace that passeth all understanding. Because no matter what's happening, you're at peace. It's an unconditional peace. So you practice. I gave you a couple of clues. You practice by stopping right now with all your problems and all your neurosis. Here you are. Teacher calls on you and says, I want you to read the paper today. Okay, you're sitting there, you have a paper. You're at a desk, you're going to get up, you're going to walk. Is that okay? That part's okay. But when I get it, no, you're not up there. That part's okay. Do you see what I'm saying? Just break it into tinier pieces. Can you hold your paper and get up? Yeah, of course. Well, this is how you do it. What if instead the teacher said, I want you to hold your paper, get up, and then sit back down. Okay, done. I want you to hold your paper, get up, take 5 steps forward, then go sit down. Okay, just don't make me read a damn thing. You see what I'm saying? Break it into smaller pieces. And you're going to find that you actually could do each one of them. You could get up. So you've got this fear of what happens ultimately. And ultimately your fear is you're going to be rejected, you're going to blow it. You just build your own hell. Instead, he asked me to get up. Can I get up? Yes. Can I walk? Well, one foot goes in front of the other. Right? Let that be all that's asked of you. Don't get in front of the energy. And you're going to find that you're almost there. There is almost always peace in the now, guys. Now stand up there. Just stand there and look at the people in the class. You okay? Yeah, sure. Now, read the word "the" on the piece of paper. Read the words. Nothing else. Just read the words. You see what I'm saying? Any one piece is doable. It's when your mind tries to do all that all of a sudden fears and anxieties and all this stuff comes because you have a preconceived notion of how you want it to end up, and there's all this unknown and uncertainty and so on. Don't do that. Don't frame what's happening to you in this bubble and then fill it in with your mind. Just deal with the eternal now. Here it is. Stay here. I swear to you, peace will come over you. So this is your work. And ultimately, you can be at peace with everything that way. Everything. When you're at peace with more and more things, you're going to find that things don't bother you anyway. Your mind stops creating concepts of how it wants things to be. Everything your mind has created, then I'm going to stop because I want you to find it yourself. Everything your mind has created is your mind's concept of how to come to peace. I need a big house, I need to get married, I need lots of money, I need a good job, I need people to respect me, and I want to run for politics, and I want to be the mayor, and I go, what is all that? What is? And I want to get older, I want to live in a thing, and I want to go to a nursing home, and I want my children to take care of me like they should, and I want to stay in my children's house. And you go, okay, and I don't want to get sick, and I don't want anything like that, and I want to die before I burden on anybody. Oh, you got it. That's a lot to be thinking about when you're 12. All right? You got all that down. What is all that? That is your mind's notion of how to be okay. That's your mind's notion of how you could be at peace if it was all that way. Isn't that funny? So all it's trying to do is be at peace anyways. It's not really trying to do this or do that. It just thinks that those things will bring it peace. If you do what I'm talking about, come into the now. Realize you're okay with the now. Just right now. Don't look up. You're just okay with the now. If you keep doing that, you're going to find you already won. You're at peace. Don't say, but I lost everything else. There was nothing else. Everything else you were trying to do was to come to peace. The world will still unfold. You may still get married. But you'll actually get married to another person, not to yourself. And you know what I mean. All right? And all kinds of neat things will happen. Of course they'll happen. The world still unfolds. Doesn't stop. Just because you stop doing that crazy stuff. That's the Tao. That's what Lao Tzu meant by the Tao. That's what Buddha meant. When he said the cause of all suffering is desires, is preferences, is concept. In other words, you developed within your mind how things should be. Those are your desires. Those are your cravings. Those are your preferences. That's what causes all suffering. All the teachings are right there. Come here. Be okay. And don't worry about the rest. Jagrata.